So I want to spend a few minutes just addressing some of a student's questions. I'm going to make. I want to post this publicly, so I'll de-identify the elements and speak broadly. But I like the questions because they do pop up regularly, especially with people that are maybe new to instructional design, learning design, educational development, and there's more than one correct answer. It's not like my experience is the definitive answer. Um, where are we? I think I already discussed this in class, but I'll cover it again. The question is, in your time as an instructional designer, have you found the process to be quite consistent across industries and sectors? Yes and no. If you're in a sector that is tied to very specific behavioural outcomes, for example, then it's really quite straightforward to design learning and assessment that's based on observable skills, things that are happening in the real world, like a kind of using equipment, for example. It's quite a different approach to if you're developing something like a nuanced kind of understanding of a concept or something that has to be expressed in a kind of a short answer, written answer, or something like that. So the kind of, and I guess it's not really helpful to make it so generic, but yeah, there's similar processes that go across any context, and that's the fun part of working as a learning designer. You can just plug in, but then when you get into these systems, often they have their own requirements. Their learners are different, the content's different, the stakes are higher or lower, you've got more time, the technology's different, so you have to adapt. So I guess the answer is yes and no at the same time. Another question from the same learner. Are these both theory-based assessments? We're not designing, developing anything. No, we're not hands-on keyboards developing an asset, for example, like a little kind of interactive. However, what happens with people that are new to this field, they think sometimes that learning design is the build, the actual kind of hands-on keyboards and developing. And sometimes they rush in and they don't do a lot of planning. They don't do a lot of analysing or designing. They just rush in and they think the process is about delivering content. Get all that content that's often pre-written, and in an era of ChatGPT and AI, you can get the computer to write a lot of that content for good or bad. But that's certainly one way to do it. And in a just-in-time system where you don't have a lot of leeway with the schedule, you do that. You start developing really quickly. Whereas if you've got time and to do it properly, you do spend that time in the analysis phase and in the design phase, and then you might even develop a little proof of concept, something real, and then that feeds back. You might share that, get some feedback, and then you kind of revisit your design. So those first two steps are sometimes skipped because all the fun stuff, a lot of people enjoy the hands-on keyboard kind of process. So in this subject, which is design, we are focused on the design process, which is a little bit of analysing. We don't have time to send out surveys and analyse documents about your learners. We're kind of like streamlining that first step. And I mean, it's not rigid anyway. It's not like a lockstep. The ADDIE model does outline analysis, then design, then development. So with this design subject, we are definitely focused on the design. There are other subjects that UTS offer called Think. That's more heavily focused on the actual theory, and also Create, which is heavily focused on the development process. Yeah, we're doing proposals and we're reflecting on the process. We're not generating the reflection as an asset. That's more the students get to reflect on what they have discovered. So this student just said, this makes sense, this is just A, analysis. Not really. It's not. It's the design. It's the D for design is at the centre of your process. And finally, I was just wondering, as you mentioned SCORM, will we be, by any chance, learn how to create modules and insert them into the LMS? The answer is no. In design, we're kind of limited. The parameters are limited to the design process, whereas in create, you typically, some students, not all, depends on how you build and develop the asset. But if you're developing again an authoring system, like for example Articulate Rise, you might your final step is to export it as either a SCORM package or XAPI or other format, HTML even. Then you grab that file and you upload it into a bigger system, learning management system or something similar, so that and then it unpacks and then it's ready for your learners. We don't focus so much on that even in the create module. Sometimes it's necessary to get it, to view the module, but we definitely focus on the actual learning and teaching aspects and what goes into a good design, and we draw upon theories, frameworks, models, and other elements, so that we want to try and get away from just focusing on the content and delivering content, because there's a whole world of possibilities. So I just wanted to spend that time just, further exploring those questions, because I didn't have a chance to go into as much detail as I would have liked in the live session. So hopefully this has been of some help. Thank you.